We brought in a ton of dirt, put it in here, raised the level of the floor up, and it's all wavy and goofy and everything. I ran this compactor over the whole thing. That's what caused all the waviness, but it's hard as a rock. Dan is trying to get it as flat as possible because we're putting foam board insulation on this piece of ground before we put the concrete on. Okay. I thought I had the pad all flattened out. I did not. It was not flat at all. So I compacted it and everything, which was a giant waste of time. Dan had to come back, dig all my compaction up, and now I have Reese and Keegan back. There's a ton of rocks and chunks of dirt in here, and we have to get them out. So I have these guys working their butts off today, throwing rocks out of this pit so that we can bring sand in and screed this thing flat. Now that we're up out of the ground, the next step is to get this dirt as flat and even as possible. If we were just pouring concrete, we wouldn't have to worry about getting it dead flat because concrete, being somewhat of a liquid, would have filled those voids just fine. However, the details that are called for in this floor require this flat level surface because we are laying down styrofoam foam board insulation onto the dirt before we pour concrete. Foam board insulation is rigid, but as you can see, it has quite a bit of give as well. This itself could sit in there and move around and flex and be just fine. However, it does want to spring back into place. It's a cool feature of this stuff, but it becomes a problem for me if my pad isn't completely flat because concrete is rigid but doesn't have any give. So if this were to deform under the concrete but try for however long to return back to its original shape, the concrete on top of it could and probably would eventually crack. So now we got to get this pad flat. How do we do it? How I do it is by hiring someone to teach me how to do it. My new buddy Lawrence came out. He's been in concrete for a very long time, and he kind of showed me the ropes and did most of the work that's been done so far. Essentially what we're doing is we're going to hammer these stakes into the ground and set a string line. And then using this laser level setup, we determine the height that we want the grade to be down, and then we screed board with a 2x4. You can see that we're probably about halfway done square footage wise. There's still a lot of work ahead, and it involves a lot of wheelbarrowing sand in and wheelbarrowing this big chunky dirt out.
We just finished flattening out our pad and now we're ruining it because we're digging this trench. Why would we do this? That's probably what everyone's asking. If we had thought ahead, we would have done this earlier, but we didn't. So, oh really?
Yeah, this is when we expected to do it.
This is how we planned on doing this. We have our stub out for our water coming in and for one of our drains, but we have this mystery pipe. And what is it? If you look at the middle of our house, is our kitchen sink. There's no walls around it because it's on an island. This pipe right here is how we're going to run electricity to our kitchen sink. We chose to put this sleeve made out of PVC pipe because if anything ever went wrong, we would rather just pull out the wire and place new wire in than rip out our entire floor. In the same trench, we're also going to put our water lines for our kitchen island because again, no walls. We can't, there's no other way.
Before you see what we're putting into this electrical conduit, I need you to know it is not approved. We're gonna have to take it out. This is Romex wire. This is what most homes are wired with electrically for all their lights and switches and different things. We have it going in this pipe under the slab to the kitchen island. It is not approved. Don't do that. We're going to have to pull this back out and just leave it out and cap off these pipes and figure something else out. After talking to my electrician, he said, don't even try it, man. We have our hot and cold lines, and those are going to the kitchen island here. Two other lines, hot and cold, are heading the rest of the way in a little ditch we dug to the master bathroom. Now, we're gonna get this dirt cleaned up, out of here, and then bury the rest of this in good sand. The next step is to break child labor laws and have the vapor barrier rolled out, cut the vapor barrier to length, and cover the entire pad with the plastic sheet. We didn't film this part, but we did tape the seams anywhere that the plastic ended and a new piece of plastic had to begin again. Oh, here's a fun tip. If you need to patch around a pipe, get a piece of the plastic, pull it tight around the pipe that you need patched, scrape the corner of the pipe through the plastic sheet with a knife, and voila, a perfect size hole. It is not lost on me that my wife is a million times more attractive than I am. I don't need you commenting on the gulf that exists between her and I. I get it. Oh, and tape your seams.
Yesterday, we were able to get down all of our waterproof membrane. We were able to lay down one section of foam board before it started raining. We now know that our water barrier works. These waterproof membranes are 20 feet wide. So we did 2 sections and we taped them down the middle. If you look, our tape didn't quite hold for some of these. I'm also glad that we waited a night because now we know which ones we need to redo rather than just hoping that our waterproof barrier just works. After all the patches were down, we put down this foam board. This was pretty easy, but we still need to cut around the pipes and then we just tape them all together. The final layer of this is going to be wire mesh for this first section.
We are ready for concrete. We have tubes, these white PEX tubes. Those are for in-floor heat. The orange marks are, most of them, are walls and cabinets, and they mark where things are going to be so that the tubes don't go under those. I wish I could have shown you more about how that was done, but to be honest, I don't understand it myself. I hired that out. I'm getting smarter as far as I need to be hiring people to do things. We are so far behind that is necessary. On top of that pipe lies the rebar, and that rebar is every 2 feet on a grid. This is all going to fill up with concrete. It's going to flood into there, get blocked by those. This is not the way people normally do ICF pours. Comments are welcome, but I do understand this is not normal. See how that pipe right there has that foam wrapped around the bottom of it? I'm doing that to all the pipes. A large gathering have shown up to my house. Artists, if you will. We're getting ready for concrete. Looks like everybody showed up. barefoot on my new house. Feels good.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That does feel really nice.
Our concrete floors are finally done. What's really cool, I think, is that we're finally putting things in the home that we'll be interacting with throughout our lives. You know, like this will be a part of our life now as far as we can touch it, and we'll be seeing this for a long time to come. Concrete crew worked so hard to get this done. They did a great job.
This process went a lot faster than our last one, which is really great news. So we still have 117 days left and $202,054.82 left.
Even though this went pretty quick, we have to build a complete house from here up in less than 120 days.
I think it's gonna be hard, but I think we can do it.
A helpful part for us is that we are using ICFs, meaning I can just do this by myself in a couple days as far as the exterior goes.
See you next time.
Like and subscribe.